Hi, it's Andrew from TwilightZoneMuseum.com here on June 17th in the year 2020. And I'm here to give a final message here for the 60th anniversary of Twilight Zone. That is the 60th anniversary season, which is 2019-2020. I sometimes get asked, what, like, of all the stuff that you've worked on as far as Twilight Zone goes, what is most memorable to you? And I figured now was really a good time to share that. And a couple years ago or so, I did a whole bunch of videos, not all of which I have uploaded. I've got all this footage that I still haven't uploaded to YouTube or anything. But I thought now would be a really good time to share my kind of most treasured Twilight Zone memories. And there's actually a lot of them, but I've whittled it down to just 2 or 3. And I will share those now and won't take too long with it. Before I launch into those, though, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who continues to support TwilightZoneMuseum.com financially and otherwise. It includes our sponsors, you might call them, who do advertising on the website. As long as the money is there to keep it online, as long as there are sponsors for it, I will keep the website online and also the Facebook page. So hopefully that interest will never wane. But anyhow, it's definitely a milestone for all of us, really. 60 years of Twilight Zone. The series is now old enough to have outlived many people who are approaching their senior citizen years. So it's older than a lot of people who outlived, if that makes sense. But the original watchers, people born in the 40s and 50s and earlier, a lot of those people are no longer with us, and yet, of course, the show has endured because it was built to last. They made them better than the old days. I was thinking about something so incredibly simple this past weekend. I saw this glass bottle of Coca-Cola, and yeah, Coke still comes in glass bottles. I remember when those glass bottles were still available in vending machines, but the old beverage bottles were made, as most people know, and this is going back to more than 100 years ago. Everything beverage-wise was made in glass, but put into glass bottles. And then, they developed a process for mass production and, carbonating the soda and, and then shipping it out to stores and stuff like that. Well, yeah, Coke and other beverages are still available in glass bottles, but it's kind of a rarity in these days of plastic. And other synthetic containers and stuff like that. And we have these things that these bottles with plunger caps that you can pull up and push down to close. Anyway, Twilight Zone, for lack of a better description, was just that kind of show. It was absolutely built to last. It does not date. I remember John Furia Jr., who wrote the episode I Dream of Jeannie in the 4th season. I remember he gave us a wonderful commentary when we were shooting those for the Image Entertainment DVDs. And God, are those even still in print? I hope so. The definitive editions. I don't even know if they're still in print now. That's how long ago it was that we did those interviews for them. But he said, one thing he said was Rod Serling had a voice like as sweet as maple syrup, but he created a show that absolutely does not date. So anyhow, he was right, and I only wish John had written more for the series. And he was a very good friend of another fellow named Jack Newman, Jack Newman, Neuman, who wrote The Trouble with Templeton for the 2nd season, which is amazing and kind of a rarely discussed episode. But I'm very honored to say that I was able to publish both John's and Jack's scripts in my Forgotten Gems from the Twilight Zone books, volumes 1 and 2. So to touch on my 3 memories, I think the funnest one I kind of divided the 3 into three memories that are special for their own reasons. The funnest one that I had was meeting the legendary Edson Stroll. And Edson, for many years, was behind the camera as a voiceover artist, and he did lots of commercials. He had just that kind of voice. He could do Gregory Peck. He could do James Mason. He could do, Buster Crabbe. He could do anybody. Buster Keaton. He could do anybody. He had that kind of voice. And you can hear it in his Twilight Zone performances, too. He had just such a resonant voice, and he was a hell of a singer. I think I mentioned in the past, he mentioned this story to me. He used to do a lot of weddings and freelance gigs and stuff like that, as people in the industry are wont to do when they're not acting. And he told me about a time when he went to a wedding and the bride and groom forgot to, bring the money to pay him. They'd like forgotten their checkbook at home or forgot their cash at home or something. Anyway, they passed it, and his fee was like a few $100s. They passed around a hat amongst the guests, and everybody was, can you please put some money into the hat, to help pay Edson, who was singing at the wedding that day. And he walked away with $1,200. He came expecting like whatever it was, $200 or $300. He walked away with $1,200, richly deserved. So meeting him for the first time, thanks to our mutual friend Gloria Paul, who'd known him since the late 1940s when they were both models in New York, going out to Edson's place at the marina and meeting his lovely wife Anita and meeting their two dogs, that was just very, very special. And sadly, one of those dogs was killed on the beach by a pit bull. And I remember his wife Anita was circulating a petition, which she had me sign because I lived in the same county, to outlaw pit bull breeding or something like that. So they were on the beach walking the dog, and this pit bull charged and got their little terrier by the throat. And they were so broken up over it. So anyway, meeting him was just amazing. And then, of course, he came to my second Twilight Zone convention, our second Twilight Zone convention in 2004. He didn't want to at first. He wasn't up for making that kind of appearance, but Gloria and I talked him into it, and he said, okay, all right, what the heck. And I think he was very glad that he did, because so many people kind of wondered what happened to him over the years. My second memory, H.M. Wynant, he's like my longest standing Twilight Zone friend, now of 18 years, more than 18 years now. He's now almost 94 years old. He will turn 94 early next year. And all these years later, I am so glad that I still have a friendship with him. There are sometimes a year or two passes where we don't see each other, but we talk on the phone, once in a while about something or other. And, if it hadn't been for this COVID crisis, we haven't seen each other since last year, but because of the COVID crisis. But we've got, a favorite spot where we like to go eat. And he's just a fantastic man and so talented. I'm happy to say that although he's not working very much at age 93, he does continue to work. Technically, he is still working. Maybe not this year since the pandemic, but still works. Technically, still employed as a sometime employee of Hollywood, and he's just a fantastic guy. And has a daughter who was born on my birthday in the year 2000, and she's now a college student. And I remember when she was just knee-high to a grasshopper at our first Twilight Zone convention, and on the second, at the VIP dinner, he said, "I've got to go home. We got to make sure the kid's in bed and sound asleep." So, so I'm very grateful for that. But I remember my first meeting with him kind of got off to a rocky start, because I don't think we talked on the phone, but when I went up to introduce myself to him at his table, he didn't know who I was, or maybe there's too many other people around or something like that who were coming up and saying hi to him, and I was just another one of those people. And then at the end of the day, at the VIP dinner in the evening on Saturday night, this is 2002, August 24, 2002, he comes up to me and he says, "Andrew!" I said, "Yeah?" And he said, "I'm so sorry that I was so rude to you earlier," and just kind of, said, "Want to buy an autograph?" And you said no and walked away. He said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't connect with who you were. Can I buy you a drink?" And I said, no, it's okay. He said, I understand. And that marked the beginning of our friendship. We've been in touch ever since. So that's number two. And I'm saving my third and final one for last. Third and final of like 55 of them, but I won't talk about the other 52. This is really, I think, my most cherished. I got to talk with the parent of a Twilight Zone actress. How? Well, Susan Gordon, who starred in The Fugitive episode in the third season, written by Charles Beaumont, directed by Richard L. Baer. I think she even got she got first screen credit even above Pat O'Malley's name, J. Pat O'Malley, that is. And she passed away in late 2011, and I didn't find out. I never knew she was ill, but I found out from a friend of hers that she had passed away, sadly. And he mentioned, this fellow who mentioned this, who emailed me about this, was a friend of hers from New Jersey. She lived in New Jersey. And he said, you know, Susan's mother, her name is Flora, is still around. And she lives down in the San Diego area. And I said, wow, okay, she must be getting up there in years. And he said, yeah, she is, but she's still okay. And I thought to myself, you know, I should really send her a copy of the panel discussion that Susan spoke on at the 2002 convention. And he said, oh, could you? You know, I'll give you her address, and you can send it to her. Send her a copy. Because Susan not only has her mother, but she has a few sisters who are still around, and also her kids. Well, I never was able to make contact with her kids, or her husband. But I sent this to her mother, and we exchanged. I included a letter with my email address and my phone number, and she emailed me and said that she couldn't. She said, I just can't thank you enough for sending it to me. And she said she looked so well and so vibrant and so healthy. And you know, she said I'm still having a hard time comprehending the loss. And I think that's a very difficult thing when very much older parents, you know, parents in their 90s or late 80s or whatever, start losing their kids when their kids are in their 50s or 60s. And so Flora was very appreciative of that, and I told Flora just how much her daughter meant to me, not just as a fine acting talent, but that she had come from New Jersey to attend the conventions both times. And then, of course, when Herman Darvik did his 2 conventions in New Jersey, of course she was there, because it was right in her own backyard. But Susan was quite special, and she was very supportive of everything that we were doing, and just, you know, one of these people. She left Hollywood long ago to have a normal life as a career, and mother of 6 children, and did another career, had a career that was apart from showbiz. But you know, she did the business when she was young, like so many child actors do, and then she moved on to other things. But that, I'd have to say, that was really my primary memory, my favorite Twilight Zone memory, that I got to tell the parent of a Twilight Zone actress, just how much they meant to me. So, you know, we did it. We got through the first 60 years of Twilight Zone. So this marks June, I guess. You know, the last episode of the series was broadcast in June of 1964. So that's now been 56 years. But we've passed, you know, a milestone of 60 years since Twilight Zone began. And the world is definitely far different now than it was in the year 1959, when on a quiet afternoon in early October 1959, the series was born and unveiled to the world, and the world has never been the same since and never will be, but continues to be, you know, not just like another TV show, but inherently a part of a permanent fixture in our popular culture. And I'm very, very glad to have made whatever modest contribution I have made to that. So thank you very much.